Hello, scholars. Welcome back. This is week 4 of POL450, Research Methods for Political Science. Last week, we had arguably the hardest task in this course, and that was writing our research question. As I explained earlier, once we have a solid research question, this course is going to be, or this project is going to build itself, or you have the foundation for it allowing itself to build itself. So hopefully you have submitted your week 3 research question. And if you had, I anticipate that you probably have received some sort of feedback from me. Almost all of you received a layer of feedback that involves some sort of tweaking, adapting, correcting, altering your topic or your research question. For many of you, it was because you chose a topic that was very broad and you needed to just make your topic a little more manageable, a little more specific. Others, you had to operationalize variables. But regardless, you need to address that feedback as soon as possible. I'm not asking you to rewrite it and resubmit it, but what you'll find is that if you take my feedback to heart and you read through it and you answer or you correct the few minor problems that you probably had, it will help you dramatically as you move forward. Because the sooner that we can get a solid research question, the sooner we can start moving forward and answering the remaining questions. And you'll see that this week as once again, you'll notice that the building blocks begin to build and build and build. And if we have that foundation, we can move forward. So let's break down what we have here in week 4. What have I included for you is a PowerPoint. If we do just jump back real fast to our agenda, our reading assignments are going to be chapter 5 and 6 this week. We have a PowerPoint. We need to continue to build on our annotated bibliography. Any sort of research that you're doing on your topic, just remember to keep track of all those references, and we're going to put those references together to create our annotated bibliography. And then we have 3 deliverables this week: a research question and measurement for written assignment 4, an application exercise 4, and a discussion board. So let's look at that first PowerPoint. So for this PowerPoint, we have our PowerPoint, and what I'm going to do this week is instead of narrating the PowerPoint, I'm just going to walk us through the PowerPoint and talk about a few of the highlights, because I'm afraid that when you hear introduction to statistics, that you're inherently and almost instantly going to say, oh my goodness, this is going to now become a statistics class. And by no means did I sign up for a statistics class. And I understand that, and I'll put your fears or trepidations at ease and let you know right away that this is by no means a statistics class. But what you're going to need to know is to have a minor understanding of statistics, because every research question or project is going to need to have some sort of statistics in order to answer that question. Because for every one of your topics, you are all going to receive data. And data in itself does us no good. It's what we do with our data, what we do with those numbers, what we do with either that quantitative or qualitative data is what then becomes a research project. Data in itself doesn't do us much good. Doing something with the data is what actually ultimately becomes a research project. And that's where we'll need to use some sort of statistical analysis. So I'm going to break down some of these slides or some of these topics that might be new terminology to you. So as we look through here, why do we learn statistics? So we get a better understanding of what our research project is, why we can develop an analytical or critical thinking skills. We can understand the research of our own or the research of others. So we've talked a little bit already about variables, a characteristic that can have different values. We understand that there's going to be quantitative or qualitative. Quantitative being those numbers that we're going to utilize, and qualitative or a nominal variable is a variable using values that cannot be given using a number. So example like we get there is a religion. If you ask people what their religion was, they would say I'm a Catholic, I'm a Protestant, or etc. And that would be a qualitative answer. As opposed to if I asked you what your weight was, you could definitely give me a number. And the reason we need to group these two is that if we have a number, a quantitative value, there is certain statistical analysis we can do with a quantitative number or variable as opposed to a qualitative variable, which we're going to need to go down a different path when it comes to statistical formulas to do something. Regardless, each one of those variables, each one of those pieces of data, we need to be able to do something with. So we first need to determine for my research project, am I going to be receiving quantitative data or qualitative data? The second is there's two major types of statistics: descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. And these two, although these words might sound a little ominous, they're very simple. Descriptive is just as it sounds. You are describing a data set. A data set that is descriptive is going to be something as simple as what are the characteristics of your population. So if I was going to use descriptive statistics to talk about my sample, the people that I gave my survey to, I would maybe say that there were so many females and so many males. There were so many people that landed in this age group and so many people that landed in this age group. That is descriptive statistics. You're not making any claim beyond the subjects you are describing. You're just telling me what the subjects are. You're describing descriptive statistics. Then inferential statistics is where we're going to go beyond the descriptive. Now you're going to make some conclusion or claim about your group. Why these people are answering this, why there's so many females, why there are so many males, why there are so many people that land in a certain age group. You're going beyond describing the group and you're making a claim about the group. So that's where we go into inferential statistics. There's some good examples here about if we talked about an IQ test or if there is a claim that this class actually has an IQ. So read through that. Then we go into our data sets, and this kind of builds upon some of our topics and discussions before, is that we are going to have variables. And with our variables, we understand that they're either going to be quantitative or qualitative, and they're either going to be discrete or continuous. So read through this slide. Then we have levels of measurement: nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio. And oftentimes we combine those two, of interval, ratio. And it's going to be, you're going to need to understand where your data lies. Is it going to be nominal data? Is there going to be some sort of order to it? Or is it going to be an interval ratio? So with nominal values, nominal level data, values represent categories or qualities. Values cannot be rank oriented, and mathematical operations cannot be performed. With ordinal level data, these represent categories, but also have a logical order. Variables have some sort of relationship with each other, and variables being greater than or less than. And then you can read through your interval and your ratio. And I'll add a video this week that really break these down with examples that will make it a little bit easier for you to understand, because with examples, these become a lot easier for you to figure out where your data is going to land. And then finally, an independent and dependent variable. And this is going to be important this week, because with our independent and independent variables, or independent and dependent variables, this is what you are going to need for every research study. An independent variable, just think of the independent of the variable being, is that it has the ability for us to change. These variables affect the dependent. So what am I going to be able to manipulate in my study? And then the way that we manipulate it is then going to have an impact on the dependent variable. So if IQ was what we're measuring, the dependent variable, the independent variable, we could then say if you went to Cal Baptist or you didn't go to Cal Baptist. That would be the independent variable. We have control over that. We can choose people that went to Cal Baptist. We can choose people that didn't go to Cal Baptist. And then the dependent variable would be the variable that changes when the independent variable is manipulated. So that would be the IQ that we would test. That would be the dependent variable. So like I said, go through this PowerPoint. As you can see, we're not, this isn't a stats class, just a very brief overview. I'll get you a better video and I'll add it to you on our different levels of data with our old ordinal, our nominal, and our interval ratio to get that to better understand. But get a good understanding of variables, get a good understanding of data sets. And the biggest thing that we need to is, and why we add this, is when I start to talk to you, or when you start thinking about how you are going to answer your research question, there should be a logical path. I have a research question. Now I need to answer my research question. That is the key to any, obviously, it's a question that you're going to need to answer. And one of the things that the very first question that should come to you as the researcher is, how am I going to be able to answer my research question? With how am I going to get the data to answer my question? What questions am I going to ask? Who am I going to ask them to get the data to answer my questions? And that is the path of travel that we are going to go down this week with our written assignment. So with our written assignment this week, we're going to continue to refine our research question, the variables suggested by your question, and how you will measure or operationalize the variables. I got an example for you here, and that is going to be our written assignment 4. So if we look at our question from last week, remember I gave you the example of how the residents of Riverside County changed their water usage habit over the last year, or have they not chosen to change their usage over the same period of time, and what reasons do they give for their decision? So we understand that we will need to, with operationalization, like how am I going to operationalize drought? And I will use the definition given by the National Weather Service. Change in water usage is definitely going to be quantifiable. So I can ask them, have they increased or decreased or stayed the same in their water use? I use ordinal level data to determine if people believe their water are using less, more, or no change. Remember, that would be an order. That's the definition of ordinal. There's a definite process, an order between these three. Then the second type of the question, if people have not changed their habits, I ask them why. This is a qualitative data response, because once again, they're then going to give me a description. And what I'll ask them is when I ask them why they haven't changed, I'll lump all of those answers into one of these 4 categories: a philosophical, an economical, a cultural, or an other. So, granted, whatever their answer is, I'm going to make them fit into one of these 4 categories. And then with those 4 categories, I can then determine which is the average, the mean, the mode. I could find out the percentage of each one of these groups, and that's where that statistical analysis comes in. So for you this week, you need to refine your research question, maybe changing it. Then I want you to operationalize any words in here that you feel necessary. For in this one, obviously, drought is the question that people might wonder, what is drought? Then you need to define what kind of data you're going to use to answer the questions, and then what level of data. So you can see that in this question with 2, there's going to be a quantifiable variable and the qualitative variable. And I would also feel that it's necessary for each one of you, when you look at your questions, you should be able to understand what is the dependent variable and what is the independent variable. Based upon my actions, how is my water usage change? Do I believe that we're in a drought? If so, am I affecting my water usage? So you all should be able to look at your question and say, this is my dependent, this is my independent. What do I need to operationalize? And then how am I going to answer that, and with what data? So that is going to be our research question, or a written assignment number 4, research questions and measurement. Once again, like all of our assignments, 25 points, not all of our assignments, this assignment is 25, but like all of our assignments, Sunday at 11:59 of week 4, which will be March 31st. Then we move into our application exercise. For our application exercise this week, it's going to be a quiz that's basic terminology and techniques when it comes to descriptive statistics. You will have 2 attempts at this test. You can take it once. If you don't like your score, you can retake it again. But remember, once you start the test, it needs to be done in that one setting, just like our previous quizzes that we take. And finally, we have a discussion board. And what I would like you to do is, now that you have formulated a topic, we need to share our topics. We need to have that collaboration. I want you to share your research with your fellow students. How is the research relevant literature going? What interesting or surprising things have you discovered in your search for information? In addition to posting information on your topic, you need to respond to at least 2 other posts with feedback. Remember, these need to be academically sound and supported statements. I don't want to see anything that says, I agree with, good topic, keep up the good work. You are sharing your topic in hopes of getting some academic feedback, to get some people that have some knowledge, that want to ask you the questions of how are you going to answer that question? What people are you planning to survey? Are you planning on using quantitative or qualitative analysis? This is going to replace the dialogue we would have in the classroom, and therefore we take discussion boards seriously and have academic dialogue with our colleagues through this forum of the discussion board. So there we have it, week 4. I will upload this video. I will make it available to you. If you have any questions this week on your research question, this would be the week that we need to kind of really start moving forward with a solid research question. If you do have questions, concerns, you need to reach out to me this week, because after week 4, we're moving past our research questions with the assumption that we have a good one. It is going to work for our assignment, and we're going to start building off of that as we move forward. So if you have any questions or comments, concerns, let's clarify those this week. Hopefully the written exercise this week will really reinforce that. If you can answer what my independent variable is, what is my dependent variable, then there's a good chance you actually have a research question. So once again, let's be diligent this week. We're in the week 4 of this class. We're rapidly moving forward. We're setting ourselves up for success if we're diligent, putting these pieces together. Get these pieces together, and we will then be smooth sailing for the rest of this course. So once again, best of luck this week. I'll keep you in my thoughts and prayers. If you have any questions at all, get a hold of me. We'll get those solved and we'll move forward. So have a blessed week, and I look forward to talking to you next. Bye for now.